Hello and welcome to my No Man's Sky, the beginning series. As I've said before, it's a beginnings for some of you and it's a beginnings for me. And I overlay the audio after the fact and do the commentary after the fact because most of the time I was learning as I was going. And this video is going to be about frigates, their expeditions, and having to repair them. And before we can send the frigates out on an expedition, we have to have a fleet command room. So that's what we're going to do now, is set up those rooms. And there has to be one room per expedition. So let's say, for an example, the maximum frigates that you can have is 30. Let's say you have 5 ships that go out, or 5 frigates go out on each expedition. So that would be 6 rooms that would be needed. So we have to talk to the navigator so we can send out and choose frigates for each expedition. The maximum number of expeditions that you can send out at a time is 5. And it's like once every day that you can send out an expedition. And if there is expeditions that are still out after 24 hours, you will see additional expeditions. Now, you can only have 30, like I said before, 30 frigates. And I like to send, as you will see, if it's a balanced expedition, we'd have a combat, we would have an exploration, we'd have a trade, we'd have an industrial, and we'll have a support ship. If it's a combat expedition, then we'll have a strong combat and then a little bit less on all the others. If it's like the difficulty rating, if it's a, say, 3 or above, of course you want the strongest combat ship that you have going on the most difficult rating of an expedition. Now, as you can see, we only had the one frigate that comes with the first freighter that you get. So what we need to do, we went ahead and sent out this frigate by itself because, of course, I didn't know at the time that I needed more frigates. So we'll go out and we will purchase additional frigates. So we'll need 29 more, and we'll try to balance them out. Now, here in the beginning, I didn't even know about that I needed to balance them out because I was learning at the same time as you. So make sure that you balance for each type of frigate when you're purchasing them. And I have a total of 30, and it has to do with how much you want to spend and how much you can spend at the time. So, but this will give you a basic idea over time. This won't be the last frigate video that we do. We'll continue to make them as I learn. And I have done many frigate in-game play, and I've recorded the video, so we'll be bringing that to you a little at a time. And you see we need frigate fuel, and that's locked, and we need salvage frigate modules to unlock them. Well, not really. When you create your and use your first fleet command rooms, it will unlock the frigate fuel. So, you know, don't despair there just because you don't have salvaged frigate modules to be able to unlock this. As soon as you send out, or when you go into, say, your first fleet command room and grab it, like you pull it like you do other materials, it will give you this blueprint for the frigate fuel. In our one and only frigate we had already sent out, and I don't have the video where we got the blueprint for the fuel, and so this is at kind of after the fact. It had already been out for about 1,300 light years on its expedition, and so as you're seeing that we're communicating with that lone frigate, but we will be buying some more frigates and sending them out. But when you go into your fleet command room for the first time and pull it, you'll get that blueprint, you'll create the fuel, and you'll go ahead and send out your fleet or your single frigate by opening it up and sending it off. And you'll see that when we do more missions with more frigates. You'll see how that's sent off. So we'll continue. And here we're adding the fuel to the freighter's inventory. And you see there's like 200 tons, there's 50 tons, and there's 10 tons. They pretty much just use the 10 tons. So I have on mine usually a couple of 200s, a couple of 50s, and like 10 of the 10 tons. Because the fleet or the frigates seem to use up the 10s before they ever touch the 50s and the 200s. And you can also see that I added a warp sail. I don't hyper jump the freighter very often, but I do have some fuel on there, the warp sail, for the hyper jumps. So that's always a good thing to do too also. And to craft the warp sail, we use the antimatter and the antimatter housing, and we also need the dihydrogen jelly for the frigate fuel. So just kind of keep some of that available when you want to create fuel for the frigates and for the freighter. in our very lonely single combat frigate on our frigate list. So when I recorded or captured this gameplay, I had really no idea, but soon we'll be adding 29 more frigates. Now it's time to try to pick up some more frigates. So we need 29 more frigates. Those green hexagon with the freighter inside, those are frigates for sale. So those are the ones that we want to tag and go toward, and they'll contact us through the comms, and we can see if that's what we're looking for. And you can tell with this frigate that it specializes in trade. Now it is a Class C, so it's not as formidable when it's out on an expedition. If you can find A's or S's, that would be better. But just getting started, the C's will be a lot cheaper, and you can use them to learn how to manage frigates and your expeditions. And this one specializes more in combat. Now, our original frigate is also is combat, and you want to make sure that you balance them out. Where there's the trade, there's the exploration, there's the industrial. So you want to balance how many that you have with each. And it's definitely a learning process. You'll understand more over time what's the best way to manage your frigates, especially those that come back damaged more than the others. And you can let a frigate go and purchase another one. So, and after say 10 or 20 or 30 times that you have to repair these frigates, you start looking into that more because you spend so much time repairing them. And there's 5 different types of frigates that are specialties. You have the combat, you have the exploration, you have the industrial, you have the trade, and you have support. So you want to get 6 sets of those, and then you're well balanced. You can have 6 going out at one time, or up to 6 teams going out at one time. So, but you'll get an idea what works best for you. And the way I started, which I didn't understand how to balance it and all of that, is I just grabbed, I think in the beginning I grabbed like 20 frigates, and then started managing them. Then I started getting rid of those that over 50% came back damaged, and then I started looking at the 5 types. Started looking for a higher class. When I could get class S's, you know, I'd go for those. So it's definitely a learning process, and yeah, one of the problems that I had is trying not to hit the same frigate a second and even a third time, because you get turned around, because as soon as you inspect the frigate it lines you up. So I had problems with hitting the same one, knowing that after talking to them and seeing the comparison, that I had already seen that frigate. There's so many different ways that you can have the game make materials for you. Like the freighter and the frigates is one. Yeah, you pay for it up front. Watch my Cobalt crash videos. You can gain credits really fast. I got up to the maximum of 4.3 billion really fast, so you know, then you could afford about whatever you wanted. Then there's ways to extract minerals too, where there's automated machines that extract the minerals for you. And there's just so many different ways. In the farming, there's different farming ways. Well, it's farming the materials just like on the extraction. So there's just many different ways to have the game generate revenues for you, and this is just one of those. And I think you're starting to get the idea of finding freighters for sale and deciding which ones you're going to purchase. The next step will be when they come back damaged and have to be repaired. So we'll skip ahead to some of those. Then you start getting those bad news phone calls. And you're given the option to leave the frigate out on the expedition to continue damaged or to recall them. I always recalled them, and that's part of the reason for having 5 ships out on an expedition. So if 1, 2, 3, sometimes I had 4 out of the 5 had to be recalled because of damage. So then there was only one left to complete the expedition. So and you'll learn ways that you would prefer to handle it. The best way is the best way that works for you. How you want to handle situations in the game. And now you see a red hexagon on one of the frigates, and that means it needs to be repaired. So you go toward it, and there'll be a landing pad. It does the little holographic circles, and when it turns green you can hit your land button, and you can land on the frigate. You go through the whole spiel of that there's an issue, you inspect, and then you say plot the damage areas, and then you exit your ship and you go and search those out. Now that's fun, is all you see is the red hexagon, and you've got to go find it on the frigate. You see that to repair this broken part we need pure ferrite. Well, luckily we have the exosuit refinery, the portable one, so we were able to produce the materials needed to repair this part, so we didn't have to leave and gather that material and come back. Well, luckily there was only one part that needed to be repaired. Sometimes you can have 4, 5, 7, 10. items that have to be repaired. So we were lucky that there was only one. And sometimes you land on it and they say there's damage, but then when you get out of your ship, there's no red tag. So I just get back in the ship and go on. And if it comes up again, then we'll land and try again. But we see where there's as many as 7 or 8, and then we see times you get out of the ship and there's none. And when you get out of your ship to the lower right hand corner, you'll see that there is a message, and it normally will tell you how many damaged parts there are. So look for that. And this time it says there's 4 damaged stations. And to perform this repair on the cooling system, it said we needed 20 units of gold and 5 units of oxygen. And fortunately, we had that in our exosuit. And this time we didn't have enough gold. Now there's several things that we could do. We have storage on the freighter. We could do a little bit of asteroid mining, which I believe that that's what we do in this situation, to gather some gold. Or you have the storage containers at your base. At the anomaly, you can unlock the storage boxes, and they start out at 20, and then you can find ways of expanding those, so even up to 48 units per storage box. So there's many ways that you can go about collecting the materials you need to complete the repair. And when the pirates show up, you can decide to fight or flee. Either way, you can boost to get away from them, or you can turn on them. Either way, that's your decision.
Warning. Threat detected. Hostile ships approaching.
And this time, we decided to turn and fight. Sometimes we fight, sometimes we flee. It's just what the situation is and the mood that I might be in at the time. And that's my favorite message in No Man's Sky is hostile ships defeated. And we should have enough gold now to go ahead and complete the repairs on this frigate. And we went ahead and transferred the gold from the ship to our exosuit. And it says, or the message to the lower right says, the frigate repair, that damaged stations are 3. So we have 3 left to repair. And probably the most challenging part is finding the location of the damaged part. All you get is the symbol in that direction, so you just have to go through this maze inside the frigate to try to find it. Well, I thank you for coming along. That gives you a basic idea of how to manage your frigates and the expeditions and repairs. And I'm sure we'll do many more videos on frigates and expeditions and repairs in the future. So just make sure that you look to the lower right hand corner of the video and press that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and you're notified when I produce more videos, and eventually it'll help me out with YouTube. Underneath the video in the description you'll find ways to donate. We need hard drives for our backup array, and we need a new graphics card because it overheats and shuts our PC down. So, and at the moment we can't afford any of that. So you could help out our YouTube channel by donating, and there's a couple of ways to donate in the description. And underneath the video to the left you'll see our YouTube channel page, GFilm_RDG, and you'll find over 780 more videos to watch just in the last 6 months prior to the publication of this video. So it's newer content. And there is an email address in the About tab, so if you'd like to email us. So I appreciate you coming along. Hopefully you'll come along again on our next video. And until then, thank you for watching. Goodbye.